And we are joined today, and we are very excited for this interview with new Florida Gators basketball coach, Todd Golden. Todd, how have the last few months been for you in Gainesville?
Been pretty dang good, man. It's been a blast being on the ground here. Obviously, everything happened pretty quick in terms of the transition and finishing up our season out in San Francisco and then trying to hit the ground running here in Gainesville. But it's flown by. We're about 5 weeks into our summer program now with most of our team here on campus, and feel like we're in a pretty good spot, all things considered.
Awesome, man. Well, we want to get obviously into your time here at UF and then what the first 5 weeks or so have looked like. But want to ask you a little bit about, how you got to this point in your career. Grew up in beautiful Arizona, played basketball at St. Mary's College there in California, where you obviously did quite well. Saw that you had the all-time leader in free throw percentage when you were there. Unfortunately broken by Matthew Dellavedova, but had a great career there. And then you went over to Israel to play professional basketball. So tell us a little bit about kind of your story and how you got into basketball and then, your college and professional and playing career.
Yeah, I got into basketball and playing ball at an early age. My father played freshman basketball at UMass back in the day. And so, growing up in Phoenix, really just, it was part of my life, from a very early age. And, I played multiple sports. I played baseball growing up as well. And so I never really specialized in it, but it was usually what I was most passionate in. And then really when I got into high school, I was just super fortunate to have a really good high school coach, Dan Mannix, and kind of gave me the confidence and the belief that I could become a Division I player. And so, being in that program and having a lot of success, I think we went 76-12 in my 3 years there. We won a lot of games and won a state championship and gained a lot of, toughness and grit and just a good understanding of what it would take as a very under-talented athlete to be at the Division I level. But, again, fortunate at that point to be seen by both Randy Bennett and Kyle Smith on the AAU circuit. I played one summer with the Arizona Stars, which would have, their Nike team. They would have been on the EYBL if this was, this year. And they were actually recruiting one of my teammates pretty heavily. And they saw me and they're like, man, this kid has a chance, but didn't feel like he was ready for a scholarship. So I walked on there at first, but I carved out a role pretty quick and, started for 3 seasons there. Played in 2 NCAA tournaments and just had a really, really good experience. And I feel like both having Dan Mannix and then playing for Randy and Kyle, it really gave me a great foundation for understanding the game and really kind of having a passion for it.
There was some guy named Patty Mills, I think, showed up, which allowed you to change positions. How much did that, I guess, help you get recognized and then help you get to playing professionally in Israel?
It's a great question. I remember going into my 5th year at St. Mary's, Coach Bennett and Kyle called me in the office and they were, this was after the first month or 2 on campus and Patty had been there and really, we could tell pretty quick that he was a dang good player. And so, I remember Randy's like, hey, Todd, what position do you envision yourself playing this year for us? And I said, Coach, I'll be honest, I enjoy playing point guard, but if that's what Patty's playing, then I'm more than happy to slide over to the 2 and take on that responsibility and that role. And, Patty, his presence gave me the ability to be a much more efficient player. Obviously, he played point, handled most of the ball handling duties that year, allowed me to slide off the ball and be more of a catch and shoot guy and more of a secondary ball handler and facilitator. And, the reality is we just paired really well together. I think, me being more of a veteran, having a bunch of experience under my belt, Patty being more of a talent, but not really having that experience at that level. We were kind of a very good Batman and Robin that way. And I was more than happy as a 5th-year senior to take a backseat to him. And, his 4th game that year, we were on national TV. We played Oregon. They were number 11 in the country at the time. And that was kind of Patty's coming out party. He had 37 in that game and we won on national TV. But, just a great experience. Patty and I are still close to this day. Megan and I went to his wedding a couple years ago, and we try to catch up every summer. But, it was definitely something that, being able to play with great teammates like Patty Mills, Omar Samhan, Diamond Simpson, Ian O'Leary, those guys gave me the opportunity to, eventually play at the professional level for a couple years.
At what place in your professional career you started thinking coaching and that was the route that you wanted to go?
Honestly, it didn't really happen as I was playing pro. And in fact, it was kind of more the other way. It was, I was over there in Israel, living by myself, getting homesick every other day, excited to kind of get back to the United States at some point and live what I thought would be more of a normal life, getting out of the basketball world and, whether it was entering finance or business, whatever it was, but living more of a, standard Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 deal where I'd have my weekends, and so that's what I did when I got back initially. But it was really when I did that for a couple of years and realized that putting a suit and tie on every day and, having to sit at my desk until 5 o'clock on Friday, no matter what, wasn't what I was really passionate about. And it was basketball that I wanted to be a part of, and being a part of a team and kind of leading younger guys. So it was really after that outside of sport experience that kind of led me back into coaching and back into basketball.
And I know you joined Kyle Smith's staff there at Columbia, and you mentioned Kyle Smith had recruited you when you were a high schooler and then ultimately over St. Mary's. How did that conversation ultimately happen, and what was that transition like? I know you're in the advertising world for a little bit, but what was that transition like from, traditional 9 to 5 to obviously the very untraditional hours of working as a basketball coach?
Yeah, it's funny because Kyle got the job at Columbia after my second year in Israel. And so when he got it, I was still finishing up playing, and he asked me to join his staff at that point. But I just wasn't ready to make that move, go from playing professionally in Israel and then moving back to the States, but living in New York, basically across the United States from my friends and family. And so we kind of Kyle and I would have conversations that felt like every off season, for the first 2 years, but hey, do you want to come back? No. I'm just not ready for it. He would get pissed at me for about a week, and then we'd get over it and we'd move on. And then, so it was really, I initiated the conversation, after his second season, and he kind of made me beg for it, to be honest. He's like, hey, how bad do you want this? Do you really want to, do you want to be a part? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to be an assistant. He's like, well, no, I'm not going to give you that job. You have to be Dobo if you want to do this. And, really made me earn it. And in fact, it really did give me a better foundation for coaching. But, I think once we got back there and I started working with him and Carlin Hartman and Kevin Hovde and the rest of that staff, I knew right away that it was what I was meant to do and what I enjoyed doing. And even though the hours were different and, we were always working on Saturdays and sometimes Sundays, it just felt, it didn't feel like work. And that was something that really I was excited about and knew that I kind of found my calling.
For anyone listening, Dobo, director of basketball operations.
Yeah.
How did that help you? Just not jumping right into coaching, and maybe just working from like a staff side. How did that help you? Just see how college basketball was. Now it's completely different, and I want to ask you about that later. But how did that just help you in terms of becoming a coach and learning while not coaching on the court?
I think what people need to understand about college basketball, it's so much different than the NBA, right? There's just so many more variables and so many more factors of your program than in the NBA. Like NBA coaches get to coach basketball and then that's about it. Watch some film and they go home. Whereas in our world, you have recruiting, you have budgeting, you have scheduling, you have player development, you have all these different factors. And so I think working that first year at Columbia as a director of basketball operations, and then my first year with Bruce at Auburn, I was the director of basketball ops as well. I just feel like it gave me a really good understanding of how college basketball operates and how it works. And it's really, I think it's really important, and good programs have a great feel in all those different areas and aspects. And so those experiences just made me a more well-rounded coach and a more well-rounded CEO of sorts in regards to running a program.
Are you yourself surprised at how fast you rose up at a young age?
Sometimes, but I think we've also had a lot of success, and I think the best, I've definitely had some good luck, but the best way to be lucky is to be good and put yourself in a position to be successful. And I think, I've been fortunate from the time I was in high school to be around really good coaches. I think Randy Bennett is one of the best coaches in the country, probably one of the most underrated coaches in the country. Kyle, has always done really well at tough jobs, won 23 games at Columbia, then went to San Francisco and had 3 20-win years there. And they hadn't had much success prior, and got, Washington State into the semis of the NIT. And as you guys know, that's a program that hasn't been any good since Tony Bennett left. So, and then Bruce obviously is really, really successful and done it his own way. So I feel like I've had some really, really good mentors and role models to pull from. I feel like my playing experience has helped me a lot in terms of being able to relate and and coach guys and be able to figure out what makes them tick and be able to build true relationships with all my student athletes. And if you would ask me 10 years ago, do you think you'd be the head coach at Florida? I would say probably not. But at the same time, we were able to build San Francisco into an NCAA tournament team for the first time in 25 years. And we have had really good success. So, I think this is an opportunity that I'm ready for and one that I'm really excited about.
We've been had real quick. One more, Dan, real quick.
Yeah.
Our offense has been the thing at University of Florida lately since Billy left. That's been the complaint from fans. What should we expect offensively from Todd Golden basketball team?
Yeah, I think and this is obviously what every coach says, but we're going to try to get easy baskets in transition. I think that's, the first thing that you have to build out and you have to be pretty good at if you want to be a very efficient offense. It's just way easier to score in transition than it is in the half court. So I think that's one thing that we'll continue to stress and work on. And what's exciting is we have guys that I think can really push it in transition. Kyle Lofton, he's just a phenomenal point guard. We're really fortunate to have him. I think he's a guy that's going to be a really good leader for us this year. And then you look at the other ball handlers, guys like Trey Bonham, Myron Jones. I think both those guys are going to be able to push it for us and really be able to play fast and make good decisions in transition. And then in the half court, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. I think we have some really good pieces. We're going to play out of the post with Colin. Jatobo is a guy we'll throw it into and let him cook on the block a little bit. He has some really good skill and feel down there. And we'll play out of the ball screen quite a bit. I think these guys, both Kyle and Trey, are really good playmakers and really good threats that way. And when we haven't even talked about guys like Will, Kawasi, Fudge, just to name a few guys that can really, really shoot it, straight line drive it, get to the rim. We just have a lot of weapons. So I think we're going to be able to take advantage of that quite a bit. And I think this team will shoot the ball a little bit better than Florida has the past couple of years.
Todd, I want to ask you, because I know a lot of folks, when you got hired, connected your name to analytics and the use of deeper analytics and probably some things that are unfamiliar in the basketball world, except those that are really kind of dive in. How exactly do you use analytics, or what is it that made you kind of the analytics guy in college basketball that everybody always kind of referred to you as?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of different ways to look at it, from why we've gotten the respect and I would guess the notoriety in terms of, the national landscape and in our analytical kind of mentality. We do some things in games that are a little unique. We foul teams at the end of games in some scenarios where other people might think it'd be crazy to do that. And we've scheduled in a way where we've kind of drawn some, people have been inquisitive about it. Why are you guys doing this? Why does this make sense? And I think when people see the results and see that we were 23rd in the net last year at San Francisco and 23rd in KenPom, like, all right, these guys might be up to something. They might have something figured out. And so I think those are the main reasons why, from a national standpoint, we've kind of gained that sort of reputation. But really, it's more of a holistic approach in the way we view it and the way we think about basketball, the way we think about our program. Myself, Jonathan Sapphire, specifically, we're really analytical in the way we process things and think about it. And so it's really in every aspect of our program. We're trying to get as much data as possible, whether it's scheduling, whether it's, lineup data, whether it's player development in the preseason. We're just trying to get as much information as possible and then analyze the data and then try to get the best solutions or try to get the best answers from that. And we're not always going to be right, but we're always going to give ourselves the best opportunity to be right. And so when we do that, I think you find ways to have success in the margins. And so it's really more of an approach in the way we go about our everyday business here in the program. It's more of an analytical approach than one specific thing. But those things in terms of fouling and scheduling, those are kind of the things that have kind of opened people's eyes to our program.
That was one for me. Like noticing an intentional foul with like a second before half or a couple seconds before half to get like another possession. Like instead of trying for a 1-1, like, hey, if we foul, we can get 2 offensive possessions. And that one to me, I think I made sure like tell fans like, hey, watch some of this stuff because the first time you see it in the O-Dome, you don't need to be like yelling and cursing. Like this is how the program is going to look, and these are some of the things that they're going to do, and there's a reason behind it.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those. It's funny because like Jeff Goodman, I was talking to Jeff Goodman. He's like, hey, I know you do all these things where you're fouling and stuff. Are you going to be able to handle it when it doesn't work out? When in your first couple of games at the O-Dome, like, you know what? That's who we are, man. I mean, they're gonna have to live with it. I'm gonna have to live with it. That's what got us here. And, I think that's the thing that you got to understand in terms of like when you do things, a little bit outside the box, as long as you're giving yourself the best chance to be successful, you have to be true to it. And you can't be afraid about it. You can't pick and choose when you're going to try to execute it. You got to have for lack of a better term, you got to have some stones to be able to do it, whether you're playing Kentucky or whether you're playing, a smaller school, so it's who we are, and we're not going to run from it.
You got
the transfer portal is changing college basketball, football, maybe even more so in basketball, just because of the smaller roster size. How much does that change your philosophy as a coach? Because now, because of the one-time transfer exception, you might not get a kid to commit to you and then have him for 3 or 4 years. You could have him for 1. How does that just change roster building and shaping of your program?
Yeah, it's changed it a lot. It just really has. I think we kind of picked up on it after my second year at San Francisco. We're like, hey, this is probably a good vehicle, especially there, to get some guys that we normally wouldn't be able to get out of high school. And so we were able to add, some really, really talented big guys that way, and really beefed up our team to the point where, we obviously had a high major plus team. And so when we got here, first of all, we were excited because there were really good talent in the program, that we were able to keep guys like Colin, Kawasi, Myron, Niall, CJ, Jason, and then kept Denzel as a recruit. So we had some really good pieces to build around. And then I thought we did a really good job of being strategic in terms of who we added in the portal, really good guys that fit kind of the fabric of our program, and then really good talents. And so we were able to kind of go in and fill some holes and get some guys that were a little older, a little more accomplished. And then, like I said, fit, were skilled, and guys that we thought would really mesh with the guys that we already had. And so knock on wood, so far, I feel that that's kind of coming to fruition within our practices. And it's something that, I feel like here at Florida, we're going to be able to get more talented guys out of high school. And so we'll be able to continue to focus on that. But, we're going to always, until I would say at least for the next year or two, until those COVID years run out, we'll add, a piece or 2 or 3 in the portal every year if that's what the roster is asking for. And so I would say it's more of a year-to-year build at this point, and we're going to hope that we keep some of these younger guys, for 3 or 4 years and get them graduated. But just understanding that the freedom in which they have now to be able to leave and not sit out, it makes it a little different, where there's a little less reason for them to stay now, knowing that they can go play right away. But if we're doing what we're supposed to, I think we'll, guys like Denzel, we'll keep these freshmen around and graduate them and build with those guys as well, and just add some pieces here and there in the portal.
I know you gotta get up out of here, man. Heard you're a big Lil Wayne and a Lil Baby fan. Give me your favorite Lil Wayne album.
Carter 3, man. Back in 07, 08 when it came out, I was a senior in college and probably listened to it every day, man. And Wayne's, I don't want to say he's fallen off, but he's definitely changed over the past 15 years from when he was in his prime. Yeah. And so
he's still in shape. He still can rap now.
He can still go for sure. He's got a little different way to him. But Lil Baby, Future, those are the guys that I'm rocking with these days.
What's your favorite Lil Baby about to drop a new album? But what's your favorite Lil Baby song before you get out of here?
I'm an all in guy, man. I love all in. Love it, man. It is, man. It goes hard. It gets me going. I appreciate it.
Already.
Thanks
for hanging out, man.
Well, thanks so much, Todd. We appreciate it. Thanks to Denver Parlor, who works for the University of Florida, for helping set this up as well. Todd, best of luck this season, and we look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you, fellas. Appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Talk to you soon. Go Gators.